welcome to Reese Rue's Adventures. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have been kind of busy today. I got to pick some people up at our 5-star hotel in South Bend, the Morris Inn, and take them to O'Hare. And then I was called to go pick up a railroad crew and take them to Grand Rapids. So now I am on my way back from Grand Rapids. I am heading west. What is this road? 196 or something like that. It's not actually Grand Rapids we're going to. It's Wyoming, Michigan. But, you know, it's all right there anyway. Oh, yeah, 196 west. That's what it is. So anyway, I was listening to Ray Bone Crusher. I think this is his YouTube channel, and he just likes to talk about different stuff. He sings a little bit, puts his 2 cents worth in about some things. And he was talking about some growing up on a farm or the area he grew up in. So it kind of reminded me of a couple stories. So anyway, I was raised in a little town in southern Michigan called White Pigeon. And I don't know, there wasn't very many people in that town, but you know, a small town, everybody knows everybody and everybody knows everybody's business. Typical small town. My parents moved into a little white house across the street from the elementary school. There were 3 of us girls at that time, and everybody always called us the Green Girls. We were the famous Green Girls. But my dad, stepmom ended up selling it. We moved into Elkhart, but people added a garage onto that house. I swear the garage is bigger than the whole house. But anyway, it was just like, you know, it was this really small ranch style house. My mother never worked, and my dad, you know, worked, I think he was working, at one time he ended up working at a cabinet factory in Elkhart. I'm not sure where he was working when he first moved in there, but sometimes he would work part-time at the Shell station there in town, too. But anyway, it was a little bitty house, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, a small eat-in kitchen, and a small living room, and there was a full basement. My dad eventually ended up finishing off half the basement and put 1 bedroom down there. It was just for sleeping. We couldn't keep our clothes down there because the, you know, basement was damp and all that. So. But anyway, I ended up getting to sleep down there. I loved it when my dad made that. But anyway, my mother used to watch me because I was always real tall. And the kindergarten and 1st and 2nd grade came out the door it was directly across from our house. And my mom said she just watched from my head up above everybody else's. So I was always real tall. I got in trouble one time because the neighbor boy that lived next to the school, I went over to his house. I didn't see anything wrong with it, you know. My mom could see me going over there, but she had a fit. I had to go home first. I got my butt beat all the way home. And then she said, "You go over there now." And I was like, "Nope, wasn't going over there." But anyway, we were, you know, kind of small, you know, 6, 7, 8 years old, you know. You could run all over the place and you didn't have to worry about being snatched or kidnapped or none of that crazy stuff. we would go downtown to the movies by ourselves, and my mom would just give us the money, and we want to go to the movies, away we go. Go downtown to the dime store, get some candy. The Tasty Freeze was out on 12. We'd go down there on 12 and get stuff, and get, get ice cream. We were all over that town. We didn't worry about ever getting snacked, or anything like that. My grandfather kind of lived out in the country, but he lived behind us. And if you went by the roadway, I think it was like around 4 or 5 miles to get around to his house. But when we cut back through the woods, well, it wasn't really woods. There was some woods back there, but we cut back through the fields back behind our house and over the tracks. There were some tracks ran back there, and we cut back through the fields and a little bit of woods that was back there, and it wouldn't take us long at all to get back there to his house. We'd go over there a lot, just run back through there. It didn't take us long at all. We'd get there faster than I think anybody could if they drove there on the other way. In the winter, there was a pond back there. I found out later that my dad, he grew up in that house that was back there behind us. That his friends would all go to his house, and they would all go and skate on that pond, and they called it Green Pond or Green's Pond or something like that. So I don't know if they still call it that or not, but that pond is back there. But he lived across the street from a cemetery, and there used to be a farmhouse to the left, and like the front part between the road and the cemetery was kind of like all weeds and overgrown, and you could barely drive back through there, and the fence around the cemetery was barely there. But we used to go back over there and play. It was a neat cemetery to play in. Along the back, the river was behind it, along the back. And back there, we'd get wild asparagus. There was asparagus growing back there, so whenever that was ready, we would pick the asparagus. And my grandfather, I just have a hard time eating pears now, because my grandfather had several pear trees on his land, and he had the best pears, especially this one. I'm not sure if it was, I think it must have been a septic tank that was right behind the house. I'm not sure if it was a septic tank or a well, but there was a pear tree right next to that thing, and it had the best pears on it, and they were all Bartlett pears, and it was great. When they were ripe, you just pick them off the tree, and you have the best pear there was. And I just can't find pears like that anymore. I'm just spoiled, I guess. I don't eat many pears other than canned pears. I don't know, they just don't taste that good. We also had a bunch of crabapple trees. I didn't understand that, because I tried to eat one of those one time. Those are nasty to eat. I don't know how anybody could eat a crabapple. But I guess they make pies and jams or something out of it. I don't know. I never got it, because I thought they were bitter and sour. I never liked that. And then there was all kinds of mulberry trees and stuff. We knew, it was like we would get all this fresh fruit, and hit it as we would go over there, because there was a mulberry tree in a field not far from his house. We would hit up on that. And then, of course, downtown we had the dime store, which is, now I guess you can consider that to be Dollar General or one of those. But that was a dime store. There was a dime store. It was 5 and 10. What they called them back then. And then there was a drugstore that sat on the corner of the main street and US 12 that went through there. And of course, we had the soda. They had a soda fountain in there. You know, those a little bar where you could go in there and sit and get you a pop of, you know, a soda or something. My favorite was Cherry Coke. But you know, your typical little hometown drugstore. The pharmacist was the owner of the drugstore. And he actually they lived in a house in their town, but there was actually stairs that went up in the middle that went to like an apartment upstairs. I don't know if he rented that out or what, but there was an apartment upstairs in the over the drugstore. And then there was a small grocery store. Of course, a lot of that stuff is gone now, but some of the buildings are tore down. There's a building right next to the drugstore on Chicago Street. Was the name of the main street there. My mom bought some of her furniture there. That used to be a furniture store. And I remember there being a little jewelry store and a hardware store. That's where my bike came from, was the hardware store. And this girl bought my dad a toolbox from that hardware store, and he still had that thing. When after he passed away, I don't know where it went, but he had that thing yet. And you know what's kind of neat when you grow up in a small town, though, is holidays are just done over the top sometimes. And Halloween was so much fun. Of course, back then we did, you know, we could go trick-or-treating and didn't have to worry about stuff, but people made homemade stuff. My mom would make caramel apples and popcorn balls to give out. Oh, and fudge. I knew there was like 3 things you would make to give out at Halloween. You would make fudge and popcorn balls and caramel apples. That's what we would give out. And then it seemed like one of the neighbors would take us around. One neighbor lady took us around. I think our mom took us around some too, and then my dad would hand out the treats. Well, yeah, we would have Halloween parties in school. What was nice is you could wear your costume several times. So you would have a Halloween party at school, and you could wear your costume. And then, of course, on the night of Halloween, you went out trick-or-treating, and they would always have like a carnival where they would block off Chicago, which was the main street through town. And there would be a small carnival there. They had like a merry-go-round and one of those things that swung around that were swings, and they swung way out and around. I don't remember. I don't think there was ever a Ferris wheel, but it was just small little rides, you know, based for kids. They would have cakewalks and all kinds of, you know, stuff. The drugstore, I remember we put grab bags out, you know, pay a dime or something and grab a bag. You got whatever was inside. And, well, that was always fun because you got to wear your costume like 3 times. I think that's why I always really liked Halloween, because it was so much fun. And, of course, us kids would play in the fields. And, a couple of neighbor boys had built a fort up in a tree one time. And then they took it down for some reason. I don't remember why. I didn't like us girls getting in it or something, I guess. I don't know. And they ended up digging a thing down in the ground. And they had tunnels going down to it and stuff. I was always afraid to get in there. I just like being underground. But yeah, that had to take a long time to dig a great big hole down in the ground. And town. You ride your bike all over the place. Don't have to worry about it. Of course, we could go over to the school since we're across the street from the elementary school and go in the back, play in the swings and the slide and all that. That was always a lot of fun. Sorry, I had to take a drink. But, I don't know, I always enjoyed growing up in a small town. We did take baton lessons one time. And what was nice about that, a lot of that stuff was, done at the school. So when they gave baton lessons, they did it in the gymnasium. And of course, that was right across the street from us. So we just went across the street and took our baton lessons. That was fun. Summer activity. Well, and then they had those foggers, to fog out mosquitoes. My little sister followed that thing around. They heard of one of the guys. He got in that. They thought it was fun walking around in that fog that was coming out of the back of that machine as they drove it around through town. And they walked around in that. There was a little boy that lived around the corner from us. He had a hard time saying L's. And so instead of saying lightning bug, he said yightning bugs. My dad would joke about that forever. Ever and ever. Yightning bugs. Of growing up in a small town. There was always stuff to do. Not like today. I don't know what to do. We always had stuff to do. We were always outside playing. No matter how hot it was. And of course, when you got snow, then you couldn't wait to get outside and play in the snow. Of course, now I can do without the snow. Get old, and stuff. But we were always outside playing. I don't know, getting into trouble doing something or other. Oh, and then when my dad and my mom got divorced, and I think I was halfway through my first grade. Is when my dad left, and adults, they do stuff wrong, or they got married too young or something, I don't know. But anyway, I really struggled in second grade, and I ended up having to repeat second grade because I just struggled learning it to begin with. So second grade, and then when my dad remarried, my stepmother had a little girl that come on, truck. That little girl, I don't know, she was like 3 at the time, I think. And she would stand in of course they had bench seats in the front of the cars. And when Dad and her, he'd take us all out on a date or something, I guess that's what you want to call it. But Teresa would stand between them in the front, they didn't have, there's no such thing as car seats back then either, The baby always stood between Mom and Dad in the front, or sat between them or whatever. So she stood between them in the front seat and would be facing us, 3 older girls, and we would get her to laughing. And she had this beautiful curly sandy colored curly hair. She had the cutest curly hair. And she'd take both of her hands and beside her head and hit her curls and just giggle and laugh. We'd try to get her to laugh as much as we could, because she would just giggle and laugh and hit her curls. I just always thought that was cute and so funny. But our family ended up having his, hers, and ours. And then my baby sister was born. And with 5 girls in that little bitty house, it just got to be too small. So between the summer of between 5th and 6th grade, we moved to the big city of Elkhart, but we moved outside of town in a little subdivision called Suburban Acres. And that house, now it had 5 bedrooms and a bath and a half, but at least us girls it was a bi-level, so us 2 older girls got the bedrooms and shared the bath downstairs, and of course then the rest of the family was upstairs. But still, even though we were older, you could still, ride your bike. Of course now I wouldn't do that where it's at now, but back then it used to be County Road 7 that runs alongside that. It used to be a 2-lane country road. I mean, it was paved, but it was just a 2-lane road, and there was a lot of farms and stuff around there. There was a couple of factories, but not that many. Boy, now, woo! I wouldn't ride my bike up down there now. We would ride bikes and horses and all kinds of stuff, but man, you couldn't do that now. It's a 4-lane busy road, ton of people going back and forth to work. There's a ton of factories now. It is something else. That quiet, nice little neighborhood is not so quiet anymore. Anyway, so that was some of the stuff. I think it's worth shenanigans. I got more for you later, but I think I would just wait to do that on another trip. So y'all have a sleep tight, because it's kind of late at night. It's 12:20. I finally got done working on my way home. But y'all have a good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite, and don't forget to have fun. See ya.